Today, we're going to be talking about how kids getting out of school are going to be making money in the future because of the metaverse. No, I interacted with a bucket of chicken last time I was in there.
Oh, I have a whole story on that one.
There's a huge future in that for like a lot of designers.
You said Chippendales.
That one right there. No, the second one.
I think that's a fascinating concept.
I wouldn't be the person I am today without Minecraft.
Actually, I can say this now since my NDA has expired.
Jamie, Naomi, thank you guys for coming out. I'm really looking forward to learning about this. Now, you have experience hiring people for early metaverse projects. So I feel like more than anyone else, you deserve the title Metaverse Maven. And maybe you can just help us get a grasp about what is the metaverse and how much growth is expected there.
Oh, wow. That's a really big concept. Yeah, thank you. In my opinion, in the last 10 years, hiring for Oculus and all of the hardware and all the software, the metaverse to me is really just the next iteration of the internet, what we now call the internet. We're introducing a concept called the metaverse, which is basically 3D. We're used to scrolling through Facebook or scrolling through Amazon.
Exactly.
But now we're moving into an interactive, immersive world that is all around us, right? Instead of just being up and down or left to right, we're now in a space in which we socialize and live and work and all that. So I think the metaverse is just Web3, the next iteration of what we used to call the internet. I think it's where we choose to socialize and buy and create and work. I don't think it's just a video game. I think there's gamification elements, and I think that those who have created the video games for the last 20, 30 years are laying the foundation, have laid the foundation for it. So you see a lot of that. But I think it's much, much bigger. I think it's where we're actually going to spend the most of our time, but not, you don't have to be a gamer or in a game to actually, transact and buy things and create and build and go to work and all that.
Okay, so
I'll buy wine. I love this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I asked, oh, that is cool.
I was like, wait, I want to go pick up my wine.
Buying
the
wine at
yeah.
at Walmart, Berry Market. Oh,
I have a whole story on that one.
really?
Yeah.
What, at Walmart?
Yeah. So I can say this now since my NDA has expired.
Nice, it expired.
But I was working for Store 8. So Walmart's incubator is called Store 8. And a project that they were working on a number of years ago called Project Archer,
which is...
I didn't make this, but I hired a number of people to work for Project Archer, which they were gamers who came out of Microsoft and I can't talk too much. I don't actually know what the end project
Dude,
is.
NDA expired, man. Go into detail. Just kidding. Whatever you feel like.
Basically, you'll be guided through a Walmart experience, both in the store, in real life, in a wearable, and online in their metaverse version. So they've been working on this actually for, let's see, at least 3 or 4 years.
Whoa.
I heard about Project Archer 4 years ago in Bellevue when I met those guys in Seattle.
Crazy.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
You're going to be able to shop and view things in a different way.
Do you think the jobs of the future will need people to stock the milk aisle and to create the milk and to help customers that are walking around? Or what kind of jobs is this going to lead to? Some kind of so right now, I guess we'll describe for the audio, people at home, we're looking at very much a Walmart, but with shelves that are sort of able to slide around and people who can pop up at a whim. Are those going to be real humans, do you think, that need to be paid to be there and talk
I think
to you?
we're going to pay people. Those are all going to be 3D avatars, I think. We're going to...
Just pre-recorded, pre-scripted, and reused?
Yep, all AI.
Okay.
Right? So that's going to be an AI bot, an AI avatar, right? Like your, what is Cortana, right? Like
Halo, yeah,
Just,
Cortana.
Halo, yeah, Cortana. So it's going to be kind of that type of figure that will take you through. But in these jobs, a lot of these are just
where'd it go?
right?
His shopping cart just disappeared into the
disappeared.
ground.
That was awesome.
I think she went to cash out.
Having to pay.
Check out, yeah.
Hopefully that gets delivered to her house in real life.
So imagine you right now on Amazon, your shopping cart. It's very flat. It's very scrollable. I say scrollable, meaning like we're used to left and right, up and down. Now it's going to be 360. It's going to be around. You're going to be able to see your shopping cart. You're going to be able to pick up things. You're going to be able to take a look at those types of things. However, a 3D artist would not have to create every single jug, like every carton of milk, like with an expiration date, right?
Yeah.
That's too much. But you say, I want this piece, I want this milk, I want this. and be able to scan and go out, and just check out, take your headset off, and know that in 2 hours
it's actually
like
coming
Amazon
from a
Fresh,
real Walmart.
right?
Yeah. So there needs to be some kind of connection to seeing the milk on the shelf and them knowing that there is a milk that is not expired within deliverable range, and having all of those logistics.
And that's like
out.
a last mile, like
Yeah.
kind of, logistics
So
thing.
somebody who's interested in the metaverse could still be like going to school for logistics. You think is still reasonable? There'll be a lot of
Logistics?
I guess
Like
so.
supply chain?
Yeah, supply
Yeah.
chain
And
logistics,
operations.
or maybe like I don't quite know what those jobs are, but they almost feel like statistics or something where you're optimizing kind of complex problems. Or
I think
I guess
we're still
math,
we're,
like,
we're still
probably
going
a
to have
lot of math
warehouses that we have to actually get this stuff from if we're going to shop and do all of this stuff. However, so we have to have physical. Well, I say physical humans. We could have robots that are picking out your milk for you, right? You could go into a metaverse.
Robotics is part of the metaverse, or at
Internet
least
of
it's a
Things
skill of the
is.
future. Building robots for sure is a skill for the future.
I would say anybody who wants to build a robot should, yes,
Start building a robot.
start building a robot right now. But in terms of this, I think that you would have people on the back end that are picking and packing and making sure, but you have a whole plethora of skill sets.
Plethora. Good word.
That's a great
Good,
word,
nice
right?
word.
It's like a buffet.
Yeah.
You have a whole buffet of skills in between. Are you Googling plethora right now?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, we love
Like a
big
whole-
words
Distracting.
around here.
A
Yeah.
whole plethora of skill sets in between, from the person who designed the milk carton to the person who's guiding you through to the person
100%.
who's actually writing the code to have the AI take you through that experience to the hardware designer. That, right? There's so many different pieces that go into just buying one carton of milk from Walmart in the metaverse.
To me, the metaverse is kind of like the future of how we're going to interact with people and how we're going to live our daily lives. I think like
Agree.
new generation, especially like little kids, like we grew up with like our own version of the metaverse, like Minecraft, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like we learned how to like interact with people and like do a lot of stuff. Like we got really tech savvy through these like video games,
Yep.
and now we see it with like Roblox. Like it's a whole.
Yeah, because you said Minecraft got you started, right? In
Yeah,
3D
so
design?
I started doing 3D design and architecture because of Minecraft, because I loved just creating on there, and I would do my
Interesting.
own little designs.
And it was
like,
just fun gaming with friends?
yeah, and I would build houses on there and do all sorts of stuff, and then that's what inspired me like as an adult now.
So you played with Legos too, or you kept it all
No,
virtual?
just Minecraft.
Oh, dang,
That's so
man. You
cool.
don't
Oh,
even need
Legos
to pay
girl.
for all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, paying for all that plastic to be shaped for us. But, she had unlimited Legos in there. So tell me about Minecraft just generally. Like, what got you addicted to it? Because is it building, or is it the social aspect, or is it the
So,
actual, like,
There's
crafting and
there's
mining?
two worlds you can play in. There's creative and there's survival.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
I was a survival guy.
yeah, survival taught me like how to
survive, how to grow up.
create, how
That's
to like
fascinating. Two worlds, creator or survivor.
Yeah.
And go.
Yes, so I think Survivor just gave me
Exactly.
like it taught me how to like get supplies to build whatever I wanted to build, because I would just play Minecraft to like build cool, like I would find an island with my friends.
Yeah.
We would go on servers together and like find a cool island, just build like a big skyscraper on there where we would like work from there, we would live there,
Nice
we
air
would
quotes.
battle, do whatever.
Absolutely.
And like yeah.
But that's funny because now you're designing furniture, so you had to go find the furniture company. So you're just playing Minecraft still to survive in life, right? Like you went to go find the stuff to craft with, which was like
Yeah.
the company that had the wood and the C.
Yeah,
Was it called CNC machine or
gotta
whatever?
find the trees and
Yeah.
turn it into wood and like yeah.
Those are
it's a
basic
whole
life
process.
skills, by
It's
the
a
way.
whole process.
By the way,
like,
those are like
It
Oregon
is.
Trail basic
Yeah.
life skills.
Oh my
Find tree,
gosh.
cut it down, make house.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. The
And then,
Oregon
like,
Trail.
survival mode gave you the freedom to do anything. No gravity, like you could just build whatever, and that's what got me more into like being a part of the metaverse and being
Right.
a designer in that world, because there is no limitations on like what you could build.
But did you learn more from Minecraft survival mode or your architecture degree?
I think my little mind picked up more from Minecraft.
Nice.
But-
Me too.
No, that's awesome.
I learned all the
This is
programs
such a-
through architecture schools, like all the 3D modeling programs.
Yeah, but
But
we
Minecraft
got
taught
the
me
answer.
the
But there's
basics.
Exactly.
I wouldn't
Look
be
at
the
this.
person I am today without Minecraft. So that applies to little kids and like Roblox nowadays. Like it's like their version of Minecraft, and like they have a currency on there, and like it's just crazy, like the world they've created. And that's just the future of like the meta.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have a daughter that plays Roblox all the time, and it's very similar. She's probably in there creating stuff that other people will probably pay real money for when they stop paying her in Robux. Tell me about what you think your daughter's going to learn from these and how you want to guide her into a successful career in the metaverse if she wants it.
I love this question because my entire basis for Metaverse Maven and the work that I'm doing right now is basically because of my 14-year-old daughter.
It's a mother instinct, huh?
It's watching her over the last 7 years creating such interesting houses and like the level of detail. But not only that, she would go to work. She'd be like, well, Mom, I got to go to work right now at my pizza shop so I can make money to come back. No, there's a whole world. It's a whole thing. I'm like, bitch, please, you can't even make your bed. But you can go work at a pizza shop in Roblox. Like,
Oh my gosh.
okay. And also you need Robux. You need US dollars for me to translate.
To translate, yeah.
Into
That's like life
Robux.
skills right
So
there.
then you can build a better house. And so I asked her, I said, you build this house in Roblox, can you rent it out? Like, are you getting passive
like how you
income
gonna
from
monetize on this skill?
And she's like, well, no, Mom, that's not a thing. I was like, so you build and then you tear it down, and then you build again and then you tear it down. She's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to outbuild this person. And she would just
it's just
create
straight
this whole thing.
competitive at this point,
Oh yeah,
huh? She's
She'd
not
be like,
thinking
look at
like
this bathroom and look at this thing, and in that space,
she's gonna be rich.
well,
That's great.
her world opened up to anything is possible because she's not limited by, I can't afford this chair, or I have to put, the sky is the limit. So since she's been building in that for so long, I now see this future. I mean, I've seen it for years, but I'm like, we're going to put a headset on, right? And we're going to create. So there's a whole conversation around create to earn, build to earn, play to earn. Now it's move to earn, right? We're doing these things in real life. Like we're creating architecture and we're going through and we're going to a pizza shop and we're working and we're using those she would take the money from her pizza shop in Roblox to then like build this house that then she would invite her friends over. I'm like, are you renting this house out and building a second one? Like buy the plot next to you. Like what's happening, right? How do you scale this?
Real estate
right?
mogul,
That's
yeah.
She's like, no, Mom, that's not how it works. I just tear it down.
But you're like, no, these are
what?
mom skills. Like
right?
you have to
plot that
yeah.
stuff, right? And so I that has been a lot of my inspiration in what her world will look like, right? What in 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, what does that look like when we go into a world and we create and all that?
Do you have anything to show for all the work that you put into Minecraft besides obviously the skills that you picked up? Like, do you actually have like a file, or can you log into an account and have things that are built and you could resell them? Yeah. Like, is your account worse? Did you like level up your character to a point where you could resell it or anything? Like,
when I was young, actually, like I was like in middle school, and there was servers that you would go on, and you would have an IP address and like log into the servers, and you could buy wearables. They would have websites, and basically people would buy like a host to host your server, and then put a website where you would sell like armor, because like a big part of Minecraft like multiplayer was just fighting people like for their resources, because people had diamond shields, whatever, and like good swords with like magic effects, and people would fight to the death for other people's resources. So that was a big part.
Fight to the death. It's so low intense the way you say it, but yeah, okay, I get it. It's a video game.
So when I was in middle school, I think the closest thing to answer that question, what I did is I opened up my own Minecraft server. Like I paid someone to like.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
With your parents' allowance.
Yeah, I think it was like, it wasn't even that much money. I probably spent like $50 to like open up the server that I had saved up. And then I made a website where I would sell stuff like packages of like armor and stuff. And yeah, that's like as far as I got into it. My server never blew up. I had like barely any guests, but it was cool because it was my own world. And I got to create like the space where people would spawn and then like
Oh
create
my
like
gosh, that's
different
awesome.
villages for them, you know, like it was just my own little world and people
Yeah.
were just in it. And they would buy, and like I think I made like 2 sales, like I probably made like $80,
Dang.
but
profit,
I got
maybe?
scammed because it was through PayPal, and then
Oh,
Oh no.
they just got their money back.
Okay, so you enjoyed building something, seeing them come. So you're kind of a host or an event planner at that age, is what the way you were thinking about.
Yeah, I wanted to make money off it because I saw people making money off it, and then I was like, oh, I could do that, and I just Googled some stuff, found all the
so
resources.
cool.
Yeah. And then when you started college, you thought, I'll do architecture because it just felt right. And
Yeah, I think my favorite part of doing all that was like actually like showing people what I made, like showing like, oh, I made this beautiful like gazebo, like come look at it. So like once I was deciding like what I want to do, I realized like I'm an artist, I'm a creator, and like I translated that into like architecture and interior design. And then like eventually it led me to like furniture design, which is what I'm into now.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But
No,
it started
it's a
off
perfect segue.
with like
Yeah.
cubes.
Yeah, I can like your life does
Online
feel
cubes,
like it
yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of fit together like that. So I'm curious, what do you think about, have you heard of Axie Infinity or any of the kind of ways to make money where you start with a character, say in like World of Warcraft or something, or you level them up and they're valuable enough that a new person who wants to join the game doesn't want to start from scratch and wants to buy all that labor that you put into the character. Do you feel like that's the way to be thinking about it for your daughter? And you should be like, okay, remember that all your hours should be somehow stored in either like an NFT or a blockchain, some kind of history that you can then sell to someone else to save them time.
I think that's a fascinating concept. My brain is just now wrapping it around.
But essentially, when you hire somebody from Microsoft that has programming skills, they've spent a lot of time learning how to program, so they have a brain that can do things that other people can't. You're paying for their time that they put invested into their thoughts.
Well, I don't know how you could sell that then to somebody else who could add on to it, like the idea of skins or avatars or even play to
Wearables.
earn, right? So in AAA gaming, well, in gaming in general, most of the company, like Call of Duty, right, we don't like play to earn because it gives you an unfair advantage if you have more money.
Does, yeah.
Right. We don't love that idea. So I think in the metaverse, it's going to be very similar in that we want to keep our real identities. I think people are going to start to understand why it's so important to own who you are and what you have. Especially digitally. And so if you're creating an entire character or an entire world, and then you're passing that, you can just sell that to somebody else. It's like buying somebody else's house, etc. In the real world. However, you're not inheriting their skills. You can't write Python like they can write Python, right?
It's just a history that's kind of more dumb.
So I think it's an interesting concept because now we're opening it up to you can become anything. Like your imagination is like.
But you tend to
sky's
approach
the
it
limit.
more from the brand point of view. Like you need to build your own brand in the metaverse. Is that right interpretation of what you're saying?
I think we can't really talk about the metaverse without talking about kind of some like fundamental, in my mind, some fundamental Web3 concepts, which would be, hey, why is it important? Why is it important for you to own who you are?
That feels like a
your
big part of
digital
Web3
ownership.
to
Who
me.
are you? Yeah, you can
ownership.
create an avatar. You can hide behind anything you want. Having conversations about how would you interview somebody in the metaverse and know that the person that you're interviewing to do that skill set is actually the person, or are you just interviewing an avatar? So I think it opens up really interesting conversations in who are you, and can you, if you create this digital identity based on, all of the things that we're talking about, digital IDs and like this world and this community, can you transfer that to somebody else? And if you do you start over with your own identity? Who are you? So it's a very interesting concept of who you are in real life.
And especially, if
is
you have
that who you are?
and whatever
or
that
not,
history is,
or is it something different?
Exactly.
This is just a video game, but because it's attached to a cryptocurrency, you essentially, like Diablo, you walk around and you just interact and you slowly accumulate Smooth Love Potion, which is their coin.
Yep.
And it trades, against the US dollar on a crypto exchange. So the way this has been going down is you get these Axies, they're NFTs, and they're fairly expensive. Often nowadays they can be above $4,000 or $5,000, and that's the character that you need to earn all the coins. So essentially, rich people or people who have the means are buying the Axie, and then they can let somebody from a poorer country that's willing to work for a very low amount of money, like a $5 or $10 an hour in US dollar terms, to just go around clicking all day, and they can collect $15 or $20 worth of value, and then they can split that with the person doing it. So they can, as a business owner, they can go ahead and invest in all the Axies. But then they need a lot of labor, but these are humans that need to click around, usually from like other countries. I mean, is that the kind of business model that I think people should be like super aware of, that they can start acquiring NFTs that have utility and then focus on trying to accumulate labor from across the world to do things in virtual space?
Cool.
I think that is taking off right now. There's a whole ton of models like that. However, I don't think that's sustainable, because I think that we're paying people to kind of do a function within a video game. I see a more sustainable in real life kind of like a move to earn or create to earn model, or a build to earn.
What's move to? So create to earn would be like what she's doing. Like they would pay you to build something in 3D.
Yes.
And then move to earn, what's that?
Move to earn is it's kind of like Fitbit. It's like a Fitbit.
Oh,
right?
you're talking about like some kind of device in real life, like a health, like earn points for health.
Yes.
Working out or going or showing up at a Walmart maybe, or moving into. So you're talking about a human moving into a physical space, or it could be a video game character going to a virtual location.
Take the gamification out of it and think of like real life, what we're doing in real life, like gardening or create like moving around, like our Fitbit. What if you were Steppen is a really good example of this. I actually just met them in Boulder. A couple people that were doing a Step In, like it's like Step In, but it's an NFT where basically you can you purchase a set of sneakers or whatever, you buy in, and it tracks your walking and your all of those things, your exercise. You get certain points, but you actually get crypto. For like little bits of crypto for your movement in real life. And I think this concept is actually really helpful, because not only where I don't necessarily want to pay somebody just to run around a video game. I love the concept of being able to create or move or build or think.
You want the virtual currency to help move in real life. Yeah.
Like the things that you're doing in real life translate into and there's like a crossover between
basketball for free.
I know.
That's
right.
Like,
you get paid. No,
you get paid.
It's like your daughter making
to walk.
That's like your daughter making a pizza place, and you're like,
I was like, wait, how do you get money? I think there's a lot of development.
Okay, so just building on that, what would you? How would you handle a future where some of this stuff existed that could kind of know where you are, and there was an offer on the table, for example, to put on Oculus and go to a certain location and watch advertisements, but they would give you crypto, or to go into a public space and say something like, I love Nike shoes, and then you would get a crypto, or maybe you got some money each time you didn't swear for 2 hours or something. If like,
damn it.
Yeah, like so, or maybe a crypto for swearing if they want to encourage that. Like, would you
would definitely do it? You
would like that kind of a world?
Yeah, because why not? Like, we're already doing it for free, and a lot of companies are making money off us. So it's like, if we could get crumbs, I'll take it.
If you're already giving your data to Fitbit, you're already tracking you, you're already giving your data to all these things.
A lot of NFT companies are doing that too nowadays. Like, not play to earn, but what's it called?
Is that play to earn? What is that?
I call it move to earn. I mean, create to earn.
Play to earn just means show up, and I don't even know what play to earn means, but doesn't it just mean play the game and then you get paid? For each hour that you're in it or something.
And there's a lot of that happening in like Puerto Rico and different countries that are like, oh my gosh, we understand that we can literally get paid more money, in a video game than we can in, picking vegetables or whatever our country's economy is. So it's like, how do we then move them into that? That's what fascinates me. Like, if you are doing these things in real life, and what we don't realize is we're already doing them and giving our data away for free. We're already giving our data to Fitbit. We're giving it to Facebook. We're giving it to the GPS on your phone tracks every single place you go. You're giving that to Apple for free.
Yeah.
So what if instead of doing that, you are doing these same tasks, these same things and creating, but you're incentivized in the metaverse to like you're tokenized, right? Your social economics are built on the things that you're doing in real life, right, to sustain our earth, but also, and this is what I'm very passionate about, but also we're creating a digital twin of that. And not only are we just tracking what you're walking, like you're going to the gym, but we're not we.
Oh, like like a real life. Like if you plant a tree, so if you plant a tree in real life, the digital twin knows that you did this action in real life, and then you can get rewarded on the digital side with a token that you can't associate with the human real side because it just doesn't have the digital mechanism.
And so maybe it's a digital currency or a social economics or something like that, where we're saying, hey, we're incentivizing, you to do both of these, because I would not like to see a world in which we're only in a headset, right? Like we're only doing these things. It needs to be a crossover.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
I think in the future, we're going to see a lot of that crossover, because there are those that are like, I don't know how to play this video game, but I can bake bread, because we all did during COVID. We all learned how to make whatever. So
That's
it's
so
like
true, yeah.
Pinterest for like the metaverse. It's like, how do you
good idea.
Plant a garden, but also
$1 billion idea, Pinterest for the metaverse.
Don't even, literally, this is my pitch. Come to Tech Alley at 9 a.m. I'm literally pitching this exact idea.
It's genius. We could have it done by then, Matt. Let's work on it now.
No, stop it. That's my idea.
I know,
That's
let's do
exactly
it.
what I'm actually working on, is like, how do we incentivize, like how do we
But why not?
crossover?
Pinterest has a great business model. Just
They
take it into
do.
3D, and especially with a digital twin.
I've literally been
That'll
working
be
on this for a
so
while.
cool.
Okay, yeah, okay. Anyways.
You'll be the Instagram of
That's
the
exactly my
metaverse.
client. Like I was
Wow.
She's like, cut that out.
like, no,
So-
you can use it. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
really great. I'm going to pitch this idea. But it's the idea of
So
living your
the
life,
thing that you
and there's a crossover into the metaverse of like the social economics and all the things that we're talking about, and owning your data and owning who you are, and being like, the things that I'm doing matter. I'm walking around, I'm getting my 10,000 steps, but like, why would I just give Fitbit that information? Why not be like, hey, I know you're tracking me, but like, what does it mean to me?
So I guess that's the thing. Your daughter already seems to have the skills and kind of the desire to create, but maybe the last part you could start instilling in her would be that your attention is valuable and the decisions you make should be rewarded if they're good decisions. So make sure to kind of think about, maybe a coin or something for being a good friend, or a coin for planting a tree, or like, where can you have a bunch of people come together for something and you help them learn about something, and then you get paid for that, I guess, right?
I think we're all Girl Scouts deep down, and we all want badges.
We're all Girl Scouts?
Okay, we're all Scouts. We're all Scouts. All the Scouts.
I'm a Girl Scout.
Yeah.
Blank Scouts, but we all like badges. We like recognition. We like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I think
You type
the
in
metaverse
Girl
is
Scout
built.
badges. See what Boy Scout badges they are. You're right. Why aren't these just? And what if Boy Scout badges were interchangeable with, Bittrex
Did
or
you ever do
Binance
Code
or
Academy?
something?
They
Back
are.
in the
They're
day.
called-
Something like I did some similar things. Yeah.
So I loved Code Academy because I think it was Code Academy where you got all the badges for learning. And I feel at a very simplistic level, that's kind of the metaverse that we're building.
Yeah.
We as humans like to be rewarded for things, and that's where the gamification comes in, right? We like a challenge, we like a puzzle. So if we can integrate that into what does our real life look like?
Yeah.
And how are we're at that cusp right now where like, how are we making an impact instead of just putting our headset on and going, we're spending all this time in another world that is very cartoony and has very little impact. So
like what are some of the different careers that you're considering right now?
So I went to school for architecture, but I'm more interested in Web3 and like possibilities there. And I think architecture in the metaverse is really interesting. Like building like all the houses we were looking at and stuff, like it's a lot easier, and it's like the possibilities are endless, especially in like a creative scale, because like as an architect, you don't have a lot of freedom with creativity. Like the average architect, it's very like rigid and like just what the client wants. It's not a lot of creativity, like,
Right.
So when you're handed projects like in the metaverse, like you could do anything. There's no budget. Like there's no like materials don't cost money. Like you're just dragging and dropping, and that's what I like about it. That it's a whole new world.
What about? Are you worried that the barrier of entry is a little bit or quite a bit easier? Because if I hired an architecture company to build a house, I would have to think to myself, wow, I need the concrete to like actually hold up the structure, and I would need like actual room for plumbing to work. So there's certain things, whereas I don't need that here, so we can go to Fiverr and potentially get people a lot cheaper. Are you worried that you won't be able to make as much money building virtually, even though it's more creative?
Because I just like looking at the prices people are charging for stuff earlier, like that's already like a huge problem. Good thing a lot of people don't know about Fiverr, but
what is Fiverr? What is that?
That
well,
is a
and
huge...
and who knows like the kind of quality you're getting and whether you want to work with somebody in America or not, or if that matters to you in person. But
I think it's very underpaid for the amount of hours. I mean, in US dollars, like someone that lives here, like I can't charge that much, as little as they do for like that type of work, because it's not anything here, you know? So that is, like,
when you physically want to build a
overcome.
building in Las Vegas, in some sense, all the people in the other cities in the U.S. aren't going to be competing with you. Well, I mean, they might have some branches, but in other countries, certainly not. So I guess you're a bigger fish in a smaller pond when it comes to real architecture.
Yeah.
But you get more creativity. So you're trying to balance those two things.
Yeah. And I think in general too, like I've been trying to like get more involved in like Decentraland, Sandbox, and like those type of worlds. Like meet the right people so I could like build stuff for like specific clients, since like a lot of businesses are like moving there. But I think
it's the future.
Yeah, it is the future. I think there's a lot of possibilities there.
Are you?
That's just one route to go. That's just like what I'm looking into now.
Are you intimidated by the fact that you'll have to create your own LLC or incorporate and deal with, I don't know, taking money and selling yourself to companies and making them trust you that you can convert their business into Metaverse? Or are you ready to handle all those like small business challenges?
I've already gotten an LLC for like my custom furniture business.
Oh,
and
nice.
That's like an in real life business. So I kind of have like the stepping stones like figured out for like starting a business. But that's something I'm learning too as I'm going.
Okay, so Jamie, tell me about the big companies that you've worked for. What have they been hiring for? And can it give us kind of a clue of like what skills are going to be needed in the future?
Yeah, great question. I've worked for Microsoft, Facebook, Magic Leap, a whole bunch of indie game studios, and most recently I worked with like Star Atlas, who is on Solana, and a couple of Metaverse.
You should check out that trailer, bro. It's so sick.
Oh my God, Star Atlas is awesome.
Yeah, I hope it lives up to the hype.
I talked to their CEO, Mike.
Is it going to live up to the hype? People want to know.
We should just play it.
You have to say nice things because it's going.
It's very
I know
Avatar.
it looks so sick.
What is this?
Dude, that's so cool, man.
It's his new
Star Atlas.
I guess you tell me. Yeah.
So it's a
Metaverse,
they
right?
call it an intergalactic metaverse, and they're about 2 years old. Little, not even built on the Solana network.
Do you own a lot of stuff in here? Do you have NFTs already that are going to go into there?
I have none.
Oh.
The one thing,
even though you're friends with the CEO, you didn't buy any NFTs.
The one thing I regret is actually doing the HR work and not doing the.
Well, at least get a quick spaceship. How are you going to get around?
Yeah.
Can you
buy property here?
You're going to pay an arm and a leg if you don't get it now. Once this thing takes off.
I know I need to ping my.
Unless, I don't know. Some people say it's too ambitious. But
Can you buy a planet?
I don't think it's too ambitious. I think it's exactly that's very photorealistic Metaverse genre.
Yeah, I mean, the photorealistic Metaverse will be so cool. Whoever gets there first. So cool. But do you think that's probably Microsoft? Probably Microsoft's or someone ultra deep pockets who can pull that off.
Honestly, I don't think Microsoft is actually. I don't want to speak for Microsoft, but in my experience, considering how long it took to get Halo Infinite out the door, and I worked on that project for years.
While, yeah.
I don't know that they're like going to jump into a metaverse space anytime soon. I don't want to speak for Microsoft.
Well, obviously, but they should, because they're in a position. I mean, it just seems so hard, and they might be one of the few companies with just the ability to make it happen. They have the server infrastructure, and
they do. They're a big Unity shop. What I learned when I worked with Halo Infinite for years and Forza and Xbox was, and going back 7-8 years when HoloLens R&D first came out, and they were like, hey, by the way, we've got a headset. We haven't even announced it yet. Now we've got a headset. What are we going to do with this? And it was very augmented reality. And we're like, how do we combine that with some of the stuff that you're doing with Halo and Forza, right? Star Atlas is brilliant. I see the future as being very photorealistic, because that's what us as humans, we tend to gravitate toward. It's hard to, we can watch Looney Tunes and, the cartooniness of Minecraft. But when it comes down to how am I going to feel emotions? How am I going to actually if my grandma's avatar doesn't look like grandma, if it looks just like a pig in Minecraft, I'm not going to be, you know what I mean? Like I'm not
No,
gonna sign,
yeah, it is. It's
I'm not gonna be like, hey, grandma pig, like,
Right.
yay.
Oink,
We're humans. We're used to seeing a thing.
But the pig won't oink, Matt. It'll still be her
Could be.
grandma.
What does the
Okay,
pig
my bad.
say?
I'm sorry.
Grandma pig will say,
It's her microphone.
whatever.
Yeah. It's not gonna oink. It'll just
Maybe
be a
she
pig
might.
that talks like your
Yeah.
grandma.
I mean,
Yeah.
grandma could be a pig, right?
Yeah,
And
whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
My
No, I interacted with a bucket of chicken last time I was in there. And I was like,
my
oh.
brain
Oh.
thinks the whole thing is like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right? If you think of that movie where there was like human beings
Oh yeah.
interacting
Or
with
the new-
cartoon characters ahead of its time, that's kind of what the metaverse is. We're like, are you an avatar?
Yeah.
Are you your human
Can you
body?
bring up the new Chippendale trailer? Have you seen that? Like,
No, but
yeah.
what?
Like,
Chippendales?
Yes,
I don't know if you saw
just
it. Like,
enough wine.
We
for
might get
that.
demonetized for this, Dylan. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Where are
just,
we?
just play it for fun. It's just
Trailer?
Yeah. No, not Chippendale. That one, the Disney Plus one, bro. Not the Chippendales.
You said
That one
Chippendales.
right there. No, the second one
We're in
down.
Vegas.
You said Chippendales.
I meant Chip and Dale
You-
trailer.
what?
This is
Can
a
you make
kid's
this full
trailer.
screen? No, this is a brand new movie. Haven't you guys heard about it?
Oh,
No,
No.
I thought you were
Look at
talking
how-
about the dancing
Look at how they
guys.
good. Oh, okay. This isn't the real trailer. Go find the real trailer. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the new movie. Yeah, just play this. So,
Oh
so
my
in this
gosh.
movie, they're using all types of animation. So
I
they're
love
using
that.
they're using cartoon, they're using 3D, and one chip is from. The
Is that
cartoon.
Peter Pan?
Did Peter Pan get a drinking problem? What
Yeah,
happened to him?
it's been
He's
tough
the- he's the
these
bad
past
guy in
years.
this. But this is really a Disney movie. This is not like a joke thing. I mean, it's amazing. I've actually.
which I love, because Disney is when Disney enters Metaverse, I'm like, you guys
Oh.
already had it. You guys already had it.
Yeah, but it's that unifying of all these different worlds. Like all the
Yep, this.
they're bringing
Yeah.
all the Disney properties in, but some are in different styles of animation, and they're letting them all kind of mix together. So,
That's so cool. I was just at Disneyland.
This is
Nice.
brilliant, actually. It shows you how the different styles can come together, and maybe Naomi can speak to that. But like, you can be a simple artist, you can be a really in-depth artist.
I think NFTs are going to play a huge role in like the metaverse too, with like huge, like they're pretty much cults, like Bored Apes, like
yeah, they are.
the
No, I know what you
Bears,
mean.
like
Yeah,
there are so many like different groups, and I think in the future, like they're going to incorporate, if they survive, they're going to incorporate that into like these worlds. Like that will be their avatar,
Yeah.
like kind of like this, how like there's random
That
different-
opens up.
Yeah, well, to me, the one thing about the problem and the kind of cool part about a community is that it can support a coin out of nowhere, right? Like if enough people just all start believing that a coin has value, and they kind of continually get it leveled out and transfer enough of it into USD to kind of get that cycle working. Yeah, you can start a project from anywhere, and that can be good or bad, I guess. But
Yeah. I've seen a lot of like 3D animations made from like these 2Ds. Like 3D artists through Twitter will reach out to like Bored Ape owners and be like, this is the art that I sell. And they'll sell them like just like a little 3D moving GIF of like their
well, you're
character.
essentially turning a house 3D, right? And just making some improvements to it. So, I mean, you're trying to take a real world asset. Do you see yourself working in a digital twin one day? Like, would you work for the city of Las Vegas or something, copying over Las Vegas into a digital version?
I've never thought of that.
Please say yes.
Yes.
That's your jam,
Do
right?
it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Can I hire
would
this
love
girl?
to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be good. So now you've got a new hire. It's
Done.
perfect.
And done.
Yep.
Okay. So we were talking. So I guess just kind of building on. So you've seen what people have been hiring. Sorry, you were a recruiter, and you knew about HoloLens before it was released, I guess. So what kind of skills did they need
Really?
at that
That's
point
so cool.
to like prototype that out?
So all the skills necessary to build a video game, which are like 3D art, animation, VFX. At the time, it was Unity or Unreal Engine, right? Which nobody had kind of really heard of. And then, producers, software engineers. So I saw a lot of, the exact same skill sets Yeah. So Microsoft, 7, 8, 10 years ago, hiring a lot of 3D artists, animators, VFX, Unreal. Actually, they were a Unity shop. So a lot of Unity certified engineers. But here's the thing. Most of those people came from AAA gaming. Some of them came from film and television, like on the VFX side.
Okay.
But in the metaverse, you need real time. You need people who can actually build as you experience a thing. You need code and AI to come in and say, what is that thing that you're experiencing and how does that go? And so that's really advanced.
The raw tools, yeah.
That's
it's
a
very
lot of
low
advanced
level
tooling.
stuff.
Yeah.
So we're past that point. So Microsoft doesn't need those people anymore as much.
They do and they don't. But if you were thinking about where would my career be, what kind of job?
Yeah, exactly. And
in the metaverse,
That's what
it's everything from right now. It's the soft skills would be like a community manager, a guide, a creator. Hey, how do I build a house in this? How do I? And it's not as advanced, right, as Microsoft was hiring for 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. You can go on the Microsoft level. But what's cool about the metaverse and this space is because of the tools that have been built, you don't actually have to write a lot of code. You don't have to be a super in-depth shading, texturing, lighting artist. You can be, but just starting out, you don't have to have every single thing.
Okay, so walk me through what would happen if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I've been a truck driver. I'm getting laid off. I'm super interested in the metaverse." Is there any hope for them, or would you say go back to school and learn to code, or would you say maybe there is a way to
school.
You know what I mean? Or what would you do? Let's throw out a few things. So truck driver, what would you say to that person?
I would ask the truck driver where they want to spend the most time, right? Because some of us want to spend time in a headset guiding people through that experience. Some of us look at a screen and we're like, we want to design what the user experience. Some of us are like, actually, I just want to figure out the nickels and dimes behind running a business in the metaverse. So, or 3D, Web 3D. So for a truck driver, I would say, what do you enjoy? Maybe it's the simulation. One of my favorite hires was a guy who had just got out of the Air Force and he really wanted to work for Forza. And that's a race car game. And so he had spent so much time, no college degree, was in the Army, but spent all of his free time drawing cars, drawing Forza like cars, Formula One.
Just pen and paper style.
But he was doing it through, I think he was doing it through 3ds Max actually.
Okay, so 3D designing, yeah.
So a 3D arts computer skill, and he sent me a number of his whole portfolio. But he's like, hey, I've never worked for a AAA game. I've never worked in the video game industry. I'm coming out of the Army. But I've spent hours doing this. I sent that on, and the interview process was fantastic with him. Not because he had the specific requirements, but because he had studied the level of detail that it takes. And I think that's, if you want to create or build, think about the environment. This particular person just spent hours going, how do I draw a car? That was just one element. How do I draw a car to the best of my ability? So it doesn't matter if you can code or if you want to code, or if you're a people person, or if you can sell this, or I build 3D.
See, so it's Naomi's best asset was her thinking about wanting to create a space virtually for people, more so than the architecture degree.
Yeah. I want to be a creator of experiences. Something that I learned in architecture school that stuck with me was as an architect, we're in charge of creating experiences for people. Where you're at is going to determine your mood, how you treat other people, the way you interact with other people. So as a creator of space, I feel in the meta, there's just so much unexplored and possibilities.
Sure.
Exactly. It's so new too.
There is not for me, the relaxation of seeing my bookshelf, there's a familiarity, there's a certain warmth to this studio that we're in that I've just always loved. That I don't get sometimes, and I'm sure the equivalent is going to play out. We have the same psychology when we have VR on. So someone's got to just still choose, I don't know, something either beautiful if that's what you want, or scary if it's a scary game, or something fitting to whatever the experience you're trying to create is. So does it matter to you if it's a scary game or a race car game, or are you okay with almost any experience, or do you have to do you have your own thing that you're reaching for in the world?
I haven't really looked at it as like a game, like with a purpose. It's more of like just an experience and like sharing it with other people, like being in this world with other people and like what you could do together. Like,
okay, so maybe you guys so a quick side note, can you help me brainstorm? I want to do a birthday party for my girlfriend in VR. But what kind of experience do you think would be cool for, I don't know, a birthday party?
Oh my.
Skydiving.
I mean, I want I got a big purple birthday cake, which is cool, but like, I don't know if it should explode or if like, I've been thinking about maybe having hundreds of thousands of people that if they're just cloned people, I could press a button and maybe they would all cheer or something, like when she blows out the candle. And then I was not sure really if like, can it figure out the blowing? Like, you know, like, or do I have to press a button right when she blows to blow out the candle? Like,
you should make the cake explode.
And just get cake everywhere in the room?
Yeah.
And just ruin the walls and stuff? Why not?
But then you could press
but it's 3D, so it doesn't matter if it...
What if you make the cake turn into cards?
Cake turn to cards? Yeah, I guess so. So maybe we can just press a button or maybe somehow just when she walks next to it or something, it turns into cards.
Yeah.
I feel that since
it's hard for my brain
to an illusionist,
the
cake and the setting that you have it in, I feel like the setting needs to have like secret doors and secret
we
little
need secret everything.
Exactly.
Like a little passageway, like
point.
whatever room or environment you're in has like there's a little puzzle, and maybe there's like a not a scavenger, like a treasure hunt puzzle. And she sees things and she goes, oh, and she's in it and you know it, and maybe the audience doesn't know, but maybe there's things tied to your experiences.
So there's only a few of us coming. So I'm sending this to some of her family and friends if they don't already have them. So there'll just be a few people. Should we all know the secret and watch her do it? Or do you think we should, I should create it?
I feel like you should know the secret.
And then even her and her friends have to figure out.
It's almost like one of those like hidden rooms where, or like you're trying to find all these little
Easter
pieces.
Eggs.
Little Easter eggs.
So she looks over and she's like, oh my gosh, that's the key from this.
Oh, maybe
which then maybe leads to the blue scarf.
So
from
maybe
that.
maybe hints from our relationship over the last 6 years.
And they're kind of built into maybe the walls or the bookcase or the environment somehow. Yeah. And she's in there and she doesn't know. When she looks around, she's like, oh my God, babe, is that the thing?
Yeah, like we did like
is
one
that
of our
the thing
first
from our first date?
Yeah,
is that the thing? And she looks at you and she's like
in my avatar. Yeah. And then my avatar
course.
grins and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
Because one of our first dates, we went for tacos. So I could throw a taco in there. We did Tough Mudder. So I could put maybe like a sign or put some mud. Maybe she could like get that as a clue.
Because I love nostalgia, but I also love working it into like,
the digital world. Yeah.
Of like their clues somehow.
That would be good because then it brings back her human memories from like virtual objects. So now we're getting... I guess I could take that photo and scan it in there, and maybe she opens a box and it's in there or something. Maybe like a linear history or something.
Or she opens a door.
And then it leads to a birthday cake.
I like doors.
Maybe
I mean, I also like secret pass.
Do you think each one, maybe a room, maybe like 5 or 6 things, each one's its own room?
I think the room thing, like hidden rooms, would be interesting. She would enjoy that experience of like, and then there could be people in different rooms, like waiting for her, like giving her keys.
Oh, maybe I put her friends in different rooms?
Yes!
Oh,
that's a great idea.
That would be sweet.
You stand here.
Yeah, and then
because you can triangulate.
Yeah, and then we can send her friends a text message like we're starting at 5 p.m. She'll probably be in room 1 by 5:10. But then I'll be like, hey, she's going faster than expected. She's in room 2. Go in there. Yeah. That'd be cool. And then maybe she walks up and there's an avatar and she doesn't really know which one of her friends has this on.
Oh.
Or maybe she'll hear from the voice right away. Or that could be its own mystery, like figuring out which friend is in each room.
But maybe in each room. I mean, I'm a big fan of the game Clue. Okay. Oh my God. Colonel Mustard, in the library.
You Google Colonel Mustard?
With the candlestick. Colonel Mustard? Am I a boomer? I'm totally a boomer.
Oh my gosh.
Not
Colonel.
Okay.
That guy?
We've talked about this.
You're a big fan of that guy.
I am a big Colonel Mustard fan. But I
Why
also
is his
love...
head on
Is he a pawn?
And Scarlet?
Is he a pawn, bro?
Oh, from chess.
No,
the
from
pawns?
Clue. The game Clue. Oh no.
Naomi,
He's
do
an
you recognize this
imperialist.
person?
No.
She's okay.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, I know the game Clue.
Colonel Mustard.
He's somehow in the game.
Hey, oh yeah.
Okay.
And like Scarlet, Colonel Mustard. What are the Clue characters? Well, anyway, so you could have.
You want to do something like that? Yellow. Yeah.
I love that for the illusionist in Jen. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
that would
I
be
feel
fun.
like hidden little nuggets where she gets to discover like, oh, now I'm looking around and now I see this thing
That would be cool.
That's
as I
fascinating.
see it, I also realize it means something to me. Like all
Yeah.
of this is great, but like that's the thing that you put in there just for me, and I get to it unlocks the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and then
That's so cool.
maybe
And
this
there's
thing.
the book that got her into magic is the Royal Road to Card Magic. I bet I could get that book somehow somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure someone can take a book and skin it, right? Like
Yep.
that's doable. Like you could put is it a texture or you put like a JPEG but somehow wrap it around the 3D object or something?
You could do anything.
Basically make a book.
You could
Yeah.
do
Make a book
anything,
cover. Yeah, anyone who could do that.
That's
That'd
the
be
summary
cool.
of the metaverse.
That's
You
the
can do
metaverse.
anything.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Go up a little ladder and then we get. So maybe I'll make some kind of a square with like 4 rooms on the bottom, 4 on the top, and then we'll just go around. And by the time she gets to the last one, there'll be the birthday cake there, and then maybe all the avatars. I can make a back door for the avatars to get up to the birthday cake room, and she'll discover one by one. Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
I grew up watching like Inspector Gadget and such, so I'm like, ha ha ha, we can
Inspector
do this.
Gadget.
Yeah,
What's
that would
that?
be fun. Yeah, this would be fun. I hope she.
I gotta stop using boomer terms.
I hope she. No.
Nah, I'm just
Inspector
kidding.
Gadget.
I know
know.
what Inspector
Go,
Gadget is.
Gadget, Metaverse.
No, if it's been remade, we're good. The kids will know what we're talking
Kids will
about.
know. Okay.
Yeah, as long as it gets remade. It's a Super Nintendo game. Oh my gosh.
What's a Super Nintendo?
This guy.
Can you
Just
explain that?
Can I explain
It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but
It's
different.
like Nintendo 2.0. It's just super.
What about shrink? Like size? I was gonna say size could be another thing too. What if we shrunk down and like went into a tiny little mouse hole or something, and there's like a
Whoa.
whole thing in there? You know?
That's what I love about the
I gotta think,
metaverse
yeah.
concept. Anything is possible, so you can
Yeah.
be like
Well, and that's
little.
what your daughter's really. That's like when your daughter becomes the entire generation of workforce. When she's like in her 25 to 30 range, and everybody is like in that generation working, they won't be limited the same way I think I am by imagining a room with a ladder and stuff. Like they're just not even gonna jump to all those like things that I've thought of. They're just gonna be able to be like, okay, we'll just make this thing float and this thing flies, and then we teleport here, and then boom, like
which is fascinating.
you know,
right?
yeah.
The future workforce is not defined by cubicles and
Yeah.
office spaces and commutes. The future
Ah.
of work actually is
Right.
3D in a digital simulated
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah, and the way
That's
like
so
we
cool.
sometimes look at our grandparents and they're having trouble just like navigating iPhones and like bringing up Zoom, and we're like, it's pretty easy. But I'll have that problem thinking, oh, that's right, you can just teleport. Oh, that's right, like I really don't need to even worry about all these limitations that I used to clicking with the mouse and bringing up an app. I forgot apps just know what you need because they know what you're doing, and it's all contextual. You know, that sort of thing is going to be hard.
My
Harder
14-year-old
to
daughter
change.
asked me, she's like, hey, Mom, what did you guys do before you had GPS and like Google Maps? And I said,
Got
we
lost,
had
yeah.
actual maps. We had physical paper. I don't know.
What's
we
a
didn't
map?
Go very
We
far.
just got lost. Can you explain to Matt what a map is?
Yeah, it's like, you know.
At some point, Matt's not just young; he's just dumb. So we just have to like, we have to forgive
Christopher
him. for
Columbus
that.
okay?
invented them.
Who's Christopher Columbus?
I don't know.
So just walk us through, Naomi. What are all the 3D platforms that you know of, and all the tools that you learned in architecture and in your free time to create spaces? What's the landscape look like?
It depends on what you're working with. Like there's some specifically for product design. There's some.
Yeah, give us a list of everything you know from all aspects.
So what I use for like product design is Rhino. Also like SketchUp 3D. That's like really big for interior and architectural. And all these programs have like plugins as well, like V-Ray. And then that's when textures and lighting come in. And that's what you use to render. That's what I use. Is V-Ray. I think that's one of the best ones.
So that's a plugin you put into Rhino or
Yeah, they
3D
have it
or
for-
SketchUp,
They have it for 3D Max. They have it for
and that allows things to look photorealistic.
Yeah, so
Oh.
they have V-Ray
It's so
and these type
good.
of plugins for like
That's
every
awesome.
3D program. So like 3D Max, Blender, and like SketchUp, they're just like the base. This is where you just model everything, and then you have to add another plugin to like.
So what differentiates them? Like, why would someone pick one over the other?
It just depends on like what you want to use it for. Because like SketchUp 3D, for example, it's very like blocky. Like everything is like lines, you know, it's very rigid. And it's very easy to use. And the cool thing about SketchUp is that there's like a warehouse. It's like 3D warehouse. So a lot of stuff's already made, like furniture, little props. Like you just drag and drop. So it's one of the simpler.
So it's a prototyping software.
Yeah, it's one of like the simpler programs to use when you're like trying to just put a visual out there. But when you're doing more like custom stuff, like elaborate shapes, you start getting into like Rhino and then like Grasshopper. Grasshopper is like coding stuff, and like you can move all these files into like other engines like Unity and like Unreal Engine, and that's when it gets more like animated.
So that's for motion.
That's so cool.
Unity and Unreal Engine are for motion, and for simplicity, you said SketchUp and Grasshopper.
Rhino. Grasshopper is like a plugin in Rhino that helps you do these crazy shapes, and it's a lot of coding. But
I have to ask a question really quick. So you guys don't use 3DS or Maya or Blender at all?
I personally don't. But Blender is like really huge. It's like one of the bigger ones.
I was just curious because
list off what you know.
I've been hiring like interior design architect. So the work that I've been doing over the last number of years is the environmental artist in photorealistic AAA gaming used 3DS and then Maya and Blender to create like when you have to hire a specific lighting artist and you're looking through portfolios on ArtStation for just lighting, like just like what makes a great lighting artist. It's fascinating to me that students now are coming up with like, hey, we can create anything. Whereas the industry veterans from 20 years ago were like, oh my God, they grew up as like fine artists and painters. And now the workforce of tomorrow is creating in Roblox and Minecraft. It's a really interesting
Wait, so has the 3D world
Whoa.
already segmented out? Because we were just looking at Fiverr, and for fairly cheap, they'll be like, I'll build you a bare bones house. But I guess you're saying someone should maybe just go be all lighting or all character rigging or all just texture modeling, and then then AAA companies will say, hey, we're looking for photorealism. We can't just hire generic Fiverr guys. We need like the world's best lighting people.
So that's what I spent a number of years actually recruiting for and looking through, like getting really. So when you want to work for the best of the best, like what makes the best lighting artist or texture artist or prop artist or weapons artist, right? For if you're hiring for Call of Duty.
Oh, even the type of object is a whole nother subject.
Yeah,
like you might be like rocks, leaves, outdoorsy scenes. I might do weapons.
Some people just
and
foliage. Some people just do trees.
Oh,
some people
it's
just do
that diversified now.
It is in AAA gaming, which is fascinating because it actually lends itself into VR. So all those people are now working in VR because they're like, oh my gosh, I have the same skill set. It's the same skill set. All the people building video games are now building all this.
Yeah.
But yes, it comes to that level of detail at the highest level. I'm not seeing it in current Metaverse, but I can't wait. I can't wait until the people who literally all they do is design weapons for a living. When that skill set moves into the Metaverse,
gotcha.
Because they're very photorealistic. They're very like, if you draw motorcycles, like all you do in 3D is motorcycles. That's a very specific skill set. And
right, because they're going to have their own library, sort of know how to bend all the like little engine pieces,
and you can't
right?
just pull that from a stock. You can't just pull that from a furniture designer would be well to like mark themselves as the best furniture designer, the best. Right. Because some of these things, you can't just you can take a stock photo of a plant or a gun or a car. But when you get it a Forza level, like a Formula One, the person that draws that car, those vehicles, that terrain is like the best of the best in the world.
And they're getting
100%.
But there's a lot of in between, right?
What
So
kind of can they expect salaries above 100,000?
Oh, yes. I
Okay.
almost swore on your show.
Especially bigger
Heck
games.
yes.
Okay.
I would say an environmental artist with 3 years of experience, no less than 150.
What?
Like
Wow.
from a photorealistic standpoint. But also,
So you would recommend specialization. It's not good to be this generic creator.
we had this entire conversation years ago. Specialist, like 3D generalists, were a thing coming out of college, a whole bunch. But when you get into the best of the best, you have to be specialized. You just
Yeah.
do. And so what I would encourage anybody thinking in their artistry, whether it's interior design, maybe it's cabinetry, maybe you do kitchens really well, better than anyone else. This is what I see in the metaverse.
A kitchen specialist.
Ah, you could.
No,
yeah.
no, that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
you
That's
could be
awesome.
the kitchen.
Oh, that's not a joke.
No, absolutely not.
It's a joke right now,
But
but
it
you wait
isn't-
until you
it-
put a
Oh,
VR
100%.
headset on and you're like, I am the 3D kitchen
Kitchen.
specialist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
and
actually
everybody
done
who
a
wants a
kitchen.
dope kitchen.
Right? Everyone
That'd
on
be so cool. Yeah.
that's the thing. Or you
Kitchen
build
in VR.
landscapes, or you build. So that's the build to create.
Can you
I'm sorry,
bring up
build
Naomi's
So
Instagram? Or
So you
was
suggest like focusing in on your niche?
or those photos she
Like
sent
what
you?
your
I would, because what I heard with generalist, and trying to hire a generalist, yeah, they're great. They can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's entry level. But when you get into, hey, that's brilliant.
So guide Naomi. She's already
really
created
nice.
these types of things. Do you think she should just double down on bathrooms and cabinetry?
I
and
think
not
Naomi
really-
should double down on whatever Naomi loves, right? Because there's a niche in all of this, right? And so if you are like, oh my gosh, I love kitchens, and now, again, I'm generalizing, but I love closets. Myself personally, I am a closet
You're a
junkie.
closet
Like I
junkie.
could look at closets all day. My Pinterest board for closets is ridiculous.
Could you do closets for 10 years? Okay,
Okay.
so you're not a closet
there you
person.
I could do furniture though. That's the long term plan.
Okay, is that niche enough?
So that's
Or
that's
a
very
type of
niche. No,
furniture.
that's actually so Wayfair did this whole thing where Wayfair, not me, hired a ton of my artists, through a bunch of 3D artists to build furniture to spec, right? Like, can you build this? Can you build this? People ask all the
They
time.
took real Wayfair furniture and
Yes.
made it 3D, or they were first one in 3D and then they were creating stuff that
They
matched
took
it?
real Wayfair furniture. They hired 3D artists to build that, so then they could, Amazon and Wayfair could, you hold up your phone and you say,
and then
hey,
they
how
hang
does
it-
this
yeah.
chair look in my? But they had to get a 3D artist to then build the
That's a digital twin of their warehouse.
yeah, which opens up a fascinating conversation. Reverse that into NFTs right now. So now we've got all these 3D assets. What if you're a furniture designer that says, here's my chair in real life?
Oh,
Do you want this,
I got
this
it. It
chair
just
in real
clicked.
life is
Yep.
also an NFT.
I've been thinking of doing that.
What?
I actually, because I
That's
have not seen
genius.
people do that yet.
And what if you have a collection of 1,000 and like just like an NFT,
Yeah.
you're like first come first serve. When 1,000's done, they'll never be there again.
Because
Everybody knows that it has like Naomi's name on it because she's like the furniture queen.
Heck yeah.
So you have to build your brand up
So, like,
around it too.
it's status. It's status in the metaverse.
It is.
Yeah.
Like it's not just what we wear, it's also our environment. So think about like your chairs. Like look at this. Okay, yeah, this is a great 3D, okay, cool. But what are those lights? What if status, as it is right now, translates into the metaverse, which we know it does.
It does.
So why would you not want to why would that not
Oh.
be a status, like whatever that light fixture is, whatever that bottle
Right.
of wine is?
Because people want to go to Naomi's Future website or whatever and say and see the thing that they paid for, and then they
Yep.
can show their friends like, look, this is official, or not even
Yeah,
through the
so you
website, but
design
just
this
actually
furniture-
checking the NFT and just say, hey, look, you can just tell she made it for me.
And when we wrap our brains around the idea, the concept, and it's not that far off, that an NFT is a digital asset, but it's also a real life asset. What if this one of a
Yeah,
kind chair?
I want to do
what if
in
this
real life furniture
is
and
also you can have
incorporate
it.
it with Web3.
Like what if
Exactly
no one
what
else
you
ever
said.
what if no one else gets to have this in their website, right? Because metaverse is basically
Yeah.
Okay,
just your
so once
website.
you've built this chair on your Rhino software or whatever, you've used V-Ray, it looks beautiful. You're going to attach the OBJ file to an NFT, or you're going to just take photos and sell those as NFTs, or what's your plan?
I think depending on what
Like, how
worlds
do you
are
own it?
available, I could offer it as like an OBG inside of like your home, like an object you could drag and drop, because that's already a thing with wearables.
And you would only mint like 1,000 of them, and you'd sell them individually.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even do that many. I would do like smaller, because it takes a lot to make them, and you have to get artisans, and like I want to actually, like, every person that buys it and has this object is also going to get one shipped to their house, and it's going to get it installed or whatever the case is.
In their virtual, in
In
their
real
real
life.
life, yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
you're gonna make yours in real life also.
Yeah, so basically, like, purchasing the NFT would just
Would
be
give you the real
purchasing-
one, okay.
Yeah, but you
I
have
love that concept.
So I
by
should
the
I
way.
should own
love
it. So
that.
for buying this from Pottery Barn, I should have gotten an NFT of this also, and there should only be so many. Yeah.
only if you want this table to be in your digital space, and that is where we open
Yeah,
up
of course.
the
I want this
conversation.
whole bookshelf. Every book that I bought. So I bought all these. So I'm actually not a
Tell
huge.
me more.
I'm not a huge reader. I'm a huge audiobook listener. But when I wanted to build this shelf, I was like, oh, I want all my books. So I had to basically buy them twice. But I bought the digital version, to listen to it and actually explore it in the first place. And then later I bought the physical version just for.
But that's a
there.
great concept.
Yeah, but I'm like.
Like, to understand human psychology, we like the things that we can touch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
As humans, we want to touch stuff. We're going to live in a home. I don't see us living in little pods like Ready Player One just
You don't
yet.
see that? I was
We
going to
will.
say that.
We'll get there. Listen, I'm buying a hotel so we can put people into pods so they can put them in headsets so we can do all the things. But
Right.
listen, you don't need that much space if you really think about it. But for those of us who love, our tangible items,
Yeah.
we want to bring them into, I believe we're going to want to bring them into our digital space as well, because once we are able to conceptualize, hey, we're 3D, our avatar is 3D, you are going to want to hang out in Dylan's awesome,
Right, for sure.
like apartment in the metaverse as well, I believe. And so banking on that, you're also we can create this in 3D, but who's to say that this chair, that book, that the things, like, how do we know that you actually
Yeah.
own those things? And it's a fascinating
is weird.
concept, because it's like, it's not just my Facebook, my Instagram, my whatever platform. It's now what Dylan owns in the digital space that could replicate what you own in real life, or could not. It could be wildly
Yeah, we
imaginative.
just have to
It could
get
be
used
crazy.
to that value diverging like that.
And
Like
I
if
think,
Disney,
what does that look
like
like?
if Disneyland takes Pirates of the Caribbean and makes a digital twin, and they charge some tiny, like 10 cents for your avatar to like go through it, that could just be duplicated and someone else could do it. But you think somehow just the fact that people know that one is made by Disney, they'll pay more money for it?
I think that comes down to smart contracts and how we understand the interaction between point A and point B.
Or Disney will always have to put more developers on it to make it more photorealistic than the next guy, because the next guy is always copying it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just wondering, like, how do you own something that can be simulated differently? I don't know. I'm just wondering if people
That's a
will
great
actually,
question.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering is it really that valuable to someone who's going to write a digital Pirates of the Caribbean, that it's actually NFT'd to Disney, or it's just some ripoff?
That's fascinating.
Because an experience can just be copied.
Good point.
So how do
But they
you,
might. I mean, especially how small. Like, are you going to walk around and be like, oh, that light bulb was from Martha Stewart, and like that doorknob was
In
made
digital?
by yeah, like
Oh.
that, and then be like, oh, let me check who's going to like check the NFT every time and like make sure that.
Well, that's a great question, because Gucci and a lot of these luxury brands are getting into the metaverse right now and doing pairings.
No way,
So
really?
that's a
Yeah.
really great question. Oh my God, yeah. So like Snoop Dogg, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, like all the luxury brands are in the metaverse right now.
Yeah.
So that's a
that's
great
so
question.
cool.
How do you? Because we're looking at human psychology. Humans want status. We want status in real life. We want status, most of us, in wherever we're at. So why would you buy a Louis Vuitton bag in the metaverse? Like,
Yeah.
And what does that mean? You could draw me a bag in the metaverse and da. But
Yeah.
what makes it
Yeah.
actually Gucci? What makes it a Gucci brand?
Yeah,
And
at
I'm
fir-
telling
at-
you, they are doubling down billions into
Yeah.
this space right now.
Well, at first I kind of get it. Like, you're like, whoa, I kind of pioneered it. Like, I've got this Gucci bag. You can tell, check the blockchain, check their website. But then after a long time, I just don't know if it'll get lost. Like, will it matter or not? Or will Naomi have to have a big like YouTube
I
following?
think it's about building a brand and like having that exclusiveness and like that kind of like cult following. Like as designers, I feel like it opens a lot of doors, like Web3, because like creating it a digital asset as well just gives it more like this is new, this is the future, you know? And like I like what you said about like, what is it just going to be the same object in the metaverse? Like, no, it could, like, what if this object does more? Like, it
Mary
brings
Poppins
stuff
bag.
Like animation.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
it's not a Louis Vuitton bag, it's a Mary Poppins bag, right? It could be anything.
Yeah, and I feel like with lighting and stuff,
That's
you could do
interesting.
so much.
Yeah,
but it would be like, it would be
possibilities.
interesting if I had just millions of dollars to spare, which I don't. But if I did, it would be interesting to just say, here's a box in virtual reality, or just make an object. And I'm just going to say every year I'm going to put $100,000 into making this box do something cooler every year from now on. And like, there's 1,000 of them, and sell them and take all that money and do that. And then I don't know, it's just maybe just this box, and everybody bought it for $10, but they pooled all that money together. And that box sometimes lets you into a real life restaurant, or sometimes just displays something on your birthday. I don't know. It could just be, you know what I mean? And maybe people just pay for that.
Or it's kind of like the website.
Or if it came from Disney, you'd be like, it'll always have like a Disney surprise every day for the whole year. And like every day, I don't know, like maybe just like checking it, and that's part of your jam.
The fun part about this for me is that having been a developer in Web 2, and like 15 years ago, moving tons of people into like, why do we need a website? Why do we need the Facebook? It's a really fun space to like now be going, okay, here's why you need a 3D space and why it's important for you to know like where you build that on.
Yeah.
It's an entirely different conversation, but it's also like, where do you want to hang out when you sell to your clients?
Well, where your friends are, probably.
Where do you, when you're talking to grandma, where you're collecting your kids' memories, where is that stuff stored? And I think for me, the biggest thing is when I'm taking pictures of my kid, where do I host that? Where does that live? How do I create that? And I feel like this is a little bit of a route, Jill, sorry, and how do we protect that? How do I know that I own those photos? How do I know that my little world that I'm building in pixels is mine? And that's been really important to me, because right now in Web 2, a lot of what we're doing, a lot of what we're posting, a lot of what we're sharing, a lot of where we're going, even the data that's being collected on our phones isn't ours. We don't own that. We're not getting paid for that.
For sure.
We're not getting paid for that. By the way, Facebook's selling you ads, but we're not getting paid. So how do I create my own little space? And then how do I fill it with the things that matter to me? And maybe that is photorealistic.
Can you answer that for us? How are you going to do that? Because you're the one that's probably going to build a career right now, because you know, in VR and in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to build a space that people plan to come to, and it matters to them that they have one of your 25 chairs?
I think for me, with my own vision, it's more like in real life. So I have to find a way to like make it more interesting in the metaverse, like make these objects and these custom pieces of art like come to life and like provide value for the people that are like experiencing it in the metaverse. Because in real life, like, it has use, you know, like coffee table, like you'll use it.
So you're going to try to tie real life to all your objects.
Yeah. So with like my furniture stuff, what I want to do is like, for say if it was like an NFT, for every NFT you buy, like it would be delivered to your house. Like it's a real life thing. And
why do you want to do that? Because you might be able to scale better without that holding you back and slowing you down, right? Or is that actually what you think sets you apart? Is it's a barrier to entry? That's better for your career?
Yeah, I think because it's new and because there's a lot of money in the NFT world, that it has a lot of potential. And like I think it has a lot to do with like building a brand as well and like meeting the right people. But it's something I would like to try. It's not like a for sure thing.
Yeah, just how to build your brand. Matt, have you done any VR dating?
Oh, all the time, man.
Okay, so you'll date an avatar without seeing their face?
Oh, yeah.
Without a real life?
Why not?
Because he doesn't need the real life.
I only care about personality.
People used to do that on Me's. You guys
It's like
remember
hot or
What?
not. It's like hot or not all over again.
What's Meads?
Meez?
Mees? Can you look that up?
Meez?
Yeah, check it out.
Like this?
No, MEEZ.
But that's online. Yeah. What's the future of online
This-
dating look like, Jamie?
This is like.
Oh,
what
I know
used-
Meez,
I used
yeah.
this as a child. People would come on these
Oh,
little virtual
Go to
rooms.
YouTube.
You ever play Gaia Online?
No.
It's like that.
Dylan, we have so much to
No.
learn.
See, this is
But
what I'm
this is-
I've never
missing out on.
dated on
like,
Me's before.
as a child, people would hang out here and just chat and like get like boyfriends and girlfriends.
That's actually funny.
Like,
and so
like
when you say as a
AOL
child, you mean like how many years ago?
like middle school.
Middle
Like,
school,
I don't
yeah.
know, like 10 years, 15.
I'll show you like Gaia Online. It's very similar to
Like,
that.
Yeah,
how
go
old
to-
am I?
Gaia. Oh yeah, Gaia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know Gaia?
You look it up
Oh,
on
I love
YouTube.
this.
Look it up
Yeah.
on YouTube. I wanna
I'll show
see
you
how
my
it
Gaia
works.
account.
This was the blueprint.
I'm just joking.
This is what's fascinating to me. So we can have all these conversations as however old I am. I'm just gonna leave that part out of this podcast. However, it's fascinating to me that anyone who's 10 years younger than I am and below has already done all of this stuff.
Yeah, like it's
why are
not
we
like
having
it's
this
not like you're
conversation?
imagining. You're like imagine
all
if
of
this
us are
happens. You're
like-
like, yeah, we've done it.
What is the metaverse?
Yeah.
Like, just ask a 14-year-old, hey, what do you do all day? And they're like, hey, I'm doing this, this, and this. I'm
Like
like,
I'm
cool.
dating someone on Gaia online.
I've got a boyfriend.
You know.
That guy. And you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
My 14-year-old daughter had a little Roblox boyfriend for a long time. And she's like, his name is Thomas. And I'm like, okay. And I would tell her, I'm like, honey, I'm so excited for when you get an IRL boyfriend. She's like, Mom, you can't say IRL. I'm like, I can because like your little Roblox boyfriend isn't a real boyfriend. And I didn't say that, but it was.
How
I
could
never
you
said
to your
that.
daughter?
I never broke her Roblox heart. He did that. Anyway, so
He dumped her. Didn't it turn
Or
into
another
lifelong?
Roblox person.
high
it did
school
not turn
romance?
in. I know it did not turn into a lifelong Roblox romance.
That's okay. They're
Roblox
young.
should have paid for their wedding. But however, it offers the conversation of literally an entire generation have learned, have adapted to socializing, finding romantic partners,
Yeah.
working, creating in the metaverse. Like
It's
I
hard-
feel like a boomer going like,
Yeah.
hey, you guys tell us what you want because we've created the infrastructure and that's what
Yeah.
I've been doing for the last number of years is hiring people to build the spaces. And yet we need to have the conversation with those who are actually interacting in the spaces
Yeah,
and
I think
developing
Well, 'cause-
relationships and building and earning and growing.
So Bitcoin is
Yeah.
a scarce asset, but there isn't really anything that's as scarce as I guess your time, your attention, your human
Yeah.
brain, because you might have. So Matt might be dating 5 different women online, right? And he might have a different avatar for each one. One's on Gaia and one's in Roblox and all the places he dates women, but he still has to log into
Roblox.
each one. Or maybe he doesn't date on Roblox.
Okay, bro.
Or whatever.
Yo.
What did I say? Or like like he's on Tinder and Decentraland and Grand Theft Auto or wherever these people
I love how
are.
Tinder, Decentraland, and Grand Theft Auto all suddenly became
But
They're all dating
I'm
sites.
using them they're all metaverses to me, video games or open worlds.
dating
That's
sites.
hilarious.
But I'm just saying, Matt has to log into one for an hour, then log into the next for an hour, then log
Yes.
into the next. He can't be dating all of them all of the time. But what if he wants to live different lives in different places?
Probably
He
shouldn't.
can. I support this. They can. He, she, they all can.
Yeah.
I would love to see interchangeable metaverses, right? I don't think your avatar from one doesn't operate in another. I think that they are going to start to connect because here's the thing, as we've
cool.
seen with like Facebook and Instagram and all these different things, we want it to be simple. As humans, we want it to be simple.
Right.
The confusion around the metaverse right now is how do I get in? Ask
That's
your
the biggest
14-year-old.
question.
Like, where do I start? Where do I start?
Yeah.
And then once I'm there, how do I know? There's almost like a FOMO. There's a huge FOMO of if I build in this one, what if I should have built in this one?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I feel that all the time.
It's like we don't know. It's almost
Yeah.
like, oh, should
Like,
I go
whose
all in on
ecosystem
Instagram?
is
Should
going
I-
to win?
Mhm.
Well, it seems like even Facebook, like it sounds like Zuckerberg's like, hey, look, I need Instagram Reels to work because I need to pay for this. Like, I got to make sure that Microsoft doesn't beat me or Decentraland doesn't beat me or any of these smaller ones pop up.
Well, that's my entire mission. Is
so, but that's
to
why
do
hopefully,
that.
we'll be interchangeable so that nobody has to win, right?
And that's what I would love to see is, hey, you log in and you don't even log in. The future, as I see it, is you come home to your home and it's intertwined with
login. You just are
Internet of Things, man. It's your Alexa.
So you're in the grocery store. You put on your AR goggles. You're on. Then you pick them up to talk to the cash register. You're out, and then you're at the park and you're out, and then you're in your car and you're got something on your dashboard.
They're all connected.
And
People don't understand that they actually are
that's
all
exactly
connected.
right. Yeah.
So when I was working for Walmart,
Gotcha.
At Store 8, the thing that I was hiring was an NLP. I was interviewing people that had PhD levels in communicating, right?
Yeah.
And in speech patterns.
Yeah.
And speech patterns to AI, right? So now we're thinking about how we talk to our wearables.
Right.
And that
The
was
Siri,
a big
the
thing
Cortana,
for Walmart for the last number of years. How do we talk to, and also, Amazon, but how do we talk to our machines? How do they listen to us?
Things.
Because it's an Internet of Things, which has been going on much bigger than Metaverse. But if you think about it, it's all intertwined. AI, machine learning, Internet of Things. When you walk into your apartment in the future, this is what I see. Your metaverse is, you walk in, your fridge is also connected.
You're right.
No, they're all
That's
connected.
so
Like
cool.
when
What's
you
that?
walk in,
Everything
all
is,
of
like,
this stuff
stats
is.
and like names, like everything's like labeled. Like
Yeah.
you can
How are you
click on
doing?
it, get more
Like,
info on it.
When you pull up your
That's
email,
crazy,
your email is boop,
Well,
boop.
That's what I'm gonna
You
do
know,
with
it
my
is weird.
It's very
furniture.
minority
It is weird
report.
because if you went to go sell, if Naomi built you a digital twin of this or something, like, and you went to sell it, instantly you could say that light bulb came from Martha Stewart's collection. It trades on an exchange for 1.001 Ethereum, and this book has this amount of value, and it could just calculate that whole thing up and know the value of your house in a way that, like,
It's gonna be huge.
would
for
be so much more
collectibles.
efficient than.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And how you interact with. And I think people
Yeah.
are really going to think about, ideally, how they interact with the spaces around them.
Yeah.
And so we're now creating a space like, do you need this much space, or do you need this exact apartment because everything you do in the digital is so much bigger?
What about mistakes? Do you think they'll like, because if you now have this completely kind of historical record and you said something racy years ago or said you joined a political movement that you don't agree with anymore, is it going to just haunt you? Like, you think kids need to be like way more careful than
They
our
already
generation did?
I think they already are. You should answer this, actually.
They already are. They're very.
What if it makes them too nervous
careful.
to take chances?
They are.
Oh.
I feel like, I don't know. It's a different culture with them. Like,
Yeah.
they're a lot more socially aware than like most adults.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great conversation.
Because
How
it
does
comes
the
back to bite
metaverse
them.
empower?
Because they know everything's like. I
It's
mean, their whole
recorded
world
forever,
is
yeah.
like on.
Online.
So
Yeah.
you can't make a mistake because.
Yeah.
Do you think that's taking away
get
some of the
canceled.
humanness that would
Cancel culture.
be good for our world, or do you think it's better that maybe people have been acting
I
too
think
risky
it's
throughout time and said things that they shouldn't have been?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's holding people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Like,
what
would you say as much if you...
Mm-hmm.
like new? Yeah, like if well, I mean, obviously people like troll a lot more when they're hiding
So,
behind
yeah.
fake names, and like when they actually have to own it, they're
What I
like,
love-
oh, actually, I don't feel like saying all this stuff. Like,
And what you're saying, what I actually am excited about in the metaverse space, if I may, is the idea of communities. And NFTs have started.
yeah, like with,
showing
with
us-
DAOs, and like using them to fund DAOs.
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
like
When
Yeah.
we actually have a set of rules by which we're able to...
organize. Yeah.
And so I don't think... I think people in the past have looked to cities, geographic locations, and moved to where their tribe was. And now we're able to find that. We're able to find that online all over the world. But we want a set of rules. We want a set of like guidelines to go, okay, wait, if I'm in this community and I'm contributing, does anything go or not? And I think the generation that we're I keep pointing to you because I'm
I
like,
know,
oh
but
my God.
it's
Like,
been a lot
I'm
of
like,
finger
I'm
pointing today.
Sorry,
It's
so
like,
much
dang.
finger pointing. No more finger pointing. That's terrible. Keep the hands
No,
to
it's fine. Yeah,
themselves.
I'm sure.
It's not consensual.
care.
He knows
finger
it's in
pointing.
good. Yeah.
However, we can learn from like why we're having all these conversations as boomers, and I say that jokingly in my own way because it's like, yeah, we can create it for you. However, how are we all using this? And if we say, I want to be in a community that like I can contribute and respects, but there's rules. Like I don't have to be trolled on. I don't have to have all this thirsty. Like I don't have to be canceled. I can go and I can create and build. That I think is an exciting digital future where we can find our voices and create good and bad. Like, right, I can't regulate all of it. Mm-hmm. And it's a really cool space to go, hey, I please create in this. How can we give you freedom to create without what I've seen a lot of the Web 2 regulations? Like, you can create, but if you say this, we're going to, or if you do that, we're going to, or like people want, but there's a risk involved in that, right? And it's a kind of about finding your tribe and about finding your
your like-minded thing, right? And now you have the whole world, and geographics isn't really a big problem anymore.
That's a really cool thing, and it's also the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's also like, oh wow, how do you put everybody in a room
so you'll
together?
You'll probably have to
that.
define your style, and then you're gonna have to just get a tribe to rally around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's gonna have to be the big goal for your career.
Yeah, and I see that a lot, like what you're saying in like the Web3 community, like on Twitter with all these different like little animated characters. Mm-hmm. Like each little group has their own, like they're all their own vibe, you know.
So you're
interesting
so to get a group of people to want your furniture in the future, you're probably gonna have to contribute to them in different ways. It'll be just straight up relationship building, like it's probably been since we were a million years ago, you know, just same tribe stuff, right?
Yeah, like getting in contact with influencers and like going to these events and like showing what I do. And I think there's a huge future in that for like a lot of designers and a lot of different types of art too. Like you're already seeing it with like 2D artists, like getting into that world. Like they're making so much money off their art that they could have never made in like the real world, because like
crazy,
there's not those doors and those connections aren't there. Like when you go into this like Web3 world where someone believes in you and they just like pick you up and like put you on a stool and everyone's like, oh. Yeah. I've seen it happen with a lot of artists, so it's inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
Again, it's cool to see, because I've worked with all the 40-something-year-olds that have built the infrastructure, wrote the actual code for all of this. And so it's like cool, really cool to see people using it within it. And that's the space that I'm super geeked out about. I'm like, oh, okay, what would, and it's...
Oh, for sure. The same way she must enjoy building a space and watching people communicate and connect.
Yeah.
These people coded up the
we
future.
built, like, the people who actually
like,
build Unreal, like the code...
And now they're like, wow, look at the people creating with the tool I built.
Changing the way people interact.
And how they socialize. And
no, you're right. Every line of code in Unreal might have a huge impact on the world. In the same way every early line of code resulted in Facebook, you know?
It's fascinating to watch, and it's also cool to see how we interact, how we develop relationships, how we create friendships. If we're running around in a world of 3D in avatars, how do you make friends? How do you develop a relationship? How do you interview somebody? How do you hire somebody? These are things that we're now asking ourselves.
True. That's actually,
that are a whole nother podcast in and of itself. But it's like, how do you develop a relationship? How are we going to, right? Because we're doing this, but we're going to be doing a whole lot more of that as well. And anyone under the age of 20 is going to be doing a whole lot more of that going forward. So
I guess that even though it can be hard because you make a mistake and it kind of lives with you, but on the other hand, all the stuff you built stays with you. So hiring someone might be a lot easier because you'll say, oh yeah, I can just see on the blockchain all the things that were like registered under your Ethereum address. So like, wow,
That's awesome.
you certainly are skilled, or you said you were at all these events or took all this education and it's all just tied into your avatar. Do you feel like it'll be a gig economy for you? Is that like,
I think I'm already in a gig economy. Like the way I work currently, it's mostly freelance work, and it's for like people want renders, like closet people want renders, people in like every
Did she
industry.
just say closet people?
Yeah, well, you saw her closets. They were amazing. Gotcha. Double entendre. Very funny.
Okay. But
all the people.
yeah, a lot of different industries
Three people
like
who want closet.
need these skilled workers. So like I think having a skill like what I do is like really beneficial.
I feel like the Property Brothers are going to hire you. I'm pretty sure all three of the Property Brothers and some other ones live in Vegas, but they are going to hire you.
They need to upgrade.
That's the future of interior design.
Well, what they have is a brand. The Property Brothers have a brand, and that's pretty powerful, and more so than it used to be, even because now they can now build all this stuff, and people are going to go right to them. Like they can directly sell Property Brothers virtual assets or something, whereas some other company right now that might be huge in real estate but doesn't have a TV show and like name recognition, they're going to have trouble selling that same virtual item. You
can showcase. That's what I love about the 3D world, is especially photorealistic. You can create anything. You can say, and what I'm actually really fascinated about is where we put set and setting into like plant medicine and such. But you can actually put somebody into, a cafe in Paris in 1931 and say, okay, well now you're with Matisse and Picasso and whatever, and you're and Gertrude Stein, and you're how would that look? And so we're able to time travel, and we're able to create things that we could not, and that's what I love about the metaverse and what we're doing in 3D.
Well, and I guess we should talk, because we were all at, I guess. Did I call it View, or what is that they call it? Like we all went, View, yeah, I don't know, but we all went to recently last Friday. We all went to a building that would normally be like where you'd film like a Hollywood movie or something, like a sound stage, right? Like it's just a big room, like a big Costco looking thing, but it had an entire LED wall. And the way the camera moved parallax to it created the illusion that we were somewhere. So, I mean, for us to have a podcast where we're in France at like snap of the finger, totally doable with a little bit of real world couches and then a completely fake background.
And rendering.
Yeah, I was like, and it's just so cool to see it.
She said rendering.
Yeah. Yeah, real time rendering is what that place did. That was so.
That's there it is. Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
my.
But look, you can like see the flickering. You can kind of see some shuddering of the frame rate, but it's close enough that I'm like, this is a real object on my right.
But it doesn't look real. I mean,
the object on the right is just, it's physically in the room, and then that barrier behind me is physical. But the cars and stuff. And honestly, this was just filmed with a phone on an LED screen. The actual camera that's connected to the software would look even better. Yeah, because it would have.
But it gives you an imagination of what you could be. And you're like, actually, you don't even have to put a headset on to see this kind of thing.
No, how cool! Yeah, and how cool is that? I mean, that's how like these Zoom things they're gonna seem so archaic when we're just like, coming up from the one camera on your laptop, looking up your nose, and like a crappy lighting. Like
at the beginning of COVID, I was like, how are we going to bring empathy into I knew we were all jumping into Zoom at the beginning of COVID. I said, how do we create an empathetic experience with another human being
I just hate that. I just
But what if it
rubs
wasn't
me
here?
so
what
wrong.
What if this is this, right? And you actually, even though you kind of look like a photo, like if we
that
could
was real. You were there.
No, I know.
Did you even take this video?
Did I take this video?
Or Naomi took it. Yeah. Like,
but,
really?
But if we could pixelate you
real.
into a digital environment and put you into a meeting.
No, I can't wait for that. Just walking around my kitchen and like chatting with you as if you were here, but having you be somewhere else and just having that feeling,
That's the empathy. That's the feeling of connectedness. And that's something that, I mean, wherever we leave this, I think all of these digital experiences, whether it's a game or whether it's a social experience or whether we're designing someone's house, right? Where we're walking them through their cupboards, in real time.
Oh, so it's missing the emotion. That's what the future is.
We
not
need
had
to
yet,
make
but
sure
should.
that's there.
Yeah.
That's what the 3D environment can simulate. And we just all, as human beings.
Like you have to build a place where somebody like falls in love or has a wow moment or just
it's hard to do on a
gives the
scrollable
feel.
screen.
The feels could it
Yeah.
happen in your virtual environment once the other
I feel
elements
like
of the
I could
metaverse
do
come into
that.
place?
There's a lot of stuff, like personal stuff that you could add to spaces. Like,
Mm.
for example, like the way you were talking about making the space for your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah, how cool would that be? Yeah.
I
personal,
still think treasure
Yeah.
map or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
illusion
for
or
sure.
whatever,
And
like
just
a
having
little-
hopefully that wow moment when she sees the book or she
Yeah.
opens.
and she opens the
cake.
book and there's
Yeah.
like a key
It's
to
the-
something
it's
else.
the little
Yeah.
things.
Because you can do that in 3D. You can
Right.
do anything in 3D.
Well, and I'm gonna try to get her real friends to be there, so they will be. So she'll be figuring out like, okay, you're an avatar, but you're probably one of my friends. Maybe that they should like give out information like piece by piece, and then she'll be like,
Yes.
oh, or like they could throw out a memory, or
It's a
maybe they could
mystery.
mask their voice at first and be like, give a clue. I don't know.
It's a
They
whole
could- yeah.
mystery. I love
I
the
don't-
idea.
Putting all that time
It's an
in, but it would be so
experience.
fun, yeah. And especially if that could be replicated. Well, I like this because it's personal, but yeah, this is how we should be using VR.
But this is
yeah.
this is exactly.
And her friends that are not going to fly here because they're in other cities and have lives that they
Mm-hmm.
can't get away from, they might be able to find a half hour to just jump in and be
Mm-hmm.
like, when she comes into your room, just do A, B, and C. And they're like, okay.
Honestly, that's what I see. That's what gets me so excited about the future of digital interactions. It's not, hey, can we Zoom our parents or can we FaceTime in a way? Yeah, we're used to that, but
Mhm.
we're used to that in a way that we also put VHS tapes into our VCR 20 years ago, right? So, okay, we're adaptable. What is next? I want to go into a room where not only can I interact with my loved ones and my meetings and all of that, there needs to be an empathy, an empathy and an emotion, but also that we can bring in memories from the past. We can create. We're in grandma's living room from, Christmas
That's so
1994.
weird. Or imagine like your daughter's like 30th or 40th birthday, and then maybe by then all
I'm
this
creating these moments
infrastructure
so
will
she
be
can
there.
see them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to just like connect in a way because I don't know.
Because that's the empathy that,
Yeah.
especially over the last couple of years, where we've kind of lost touch a little bit, right? Where we can't necessarily, or maybe it was unsafe for a time for us to actually be in the same room, but we're on these weird Zoom calls and we're like, oh, that's not that fun. What if we
That is interesting. Or we could be
can
even
create
what if
empathy?
even
How
like,
do we do that?
Even like Mars or the moon or something. Like
Yeah.
now we can have like interplanetary species.
We can create anything. Like we can create our offices. That's what I love. Anything is
No, but
possible.
I mean they could physically be on Mars or in the moon connected to the internet, and then we could have an experience with them. They're so far away. It's not just being in India.
Yeah.
But we also could just be
Interplanetary.
in the
I'm
same
hoping
room.
that happens in my
But we also
lifetime.
could be in the same room pretending we're on the moon. So that's just
love
any of the choices. Yeah.
How do we bring empathy into the metaverse? And then how do we create? How do
That
we
should have been the title. How do we bring empathy into the metaverse? That'll be the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole episode.
get human
That would be
Another
good, though.
podcast.
But it's funny because I thought it was like, how will jobs look in the metaverse? But now I'm like, no, what interests me is how are we going to get emotion?
How do we
yeah,
interact?
how do we get,
because
like,
we can make
that's actually
money, we
what-
can create, we can build, we can create. But if we're not actually creating
how do we
human
bring
to
that
human,
human aspect back in? Yeah.
then we're gonna.
For sure.
It's just
Yeah,
we're writing
because I
lines
love
of
that. Like
code.
a good audiobook, you close your eyes, you can imagine it all, but maybe now we can see it. I can use more sensory input and have actual people interacting at the same time.
Oh, wait. Okay.
What?
Did you ever read those pick your own adventure books?
Sure, yeah. Choose your like goosebumps
So maybe
and stuff.
that's how
like,
you do
yeah.
Jen's birthday. Maybe it's a pick your own adventure.
Which room do you want to go to? And
Maybe it's
then-
if she does this, we go to here, and if she does that, we go to here.
I would love that.
It may be too much, but I love the pick your own adventure.
Yeah, well, especially just door A or door
Is
B. And you have
this?
different adventure behind each one.
Like
yeah.
if she
I've
if
never
she
heard of this
sees
before.
that, and she's like, oh my
I mean, that's
gosh, I see the
basically a
queen
video.
of
That's
spades,
starting
and
to be a video game, but with humans in it. Yeah, you're right. It's fun. I mean, everything's
Wasn't
going to be
there-
this way. Yeah.
That's how I imagine the metaverse is like basically pick your own adventure book. Like you get to decide. And it's
Yeah.
I think we're gonna log in, we're gonna put a headset on. Actually, I don't think we're gonna have a wearable, we're gonna have something that makes sense to us. 10
Something
years from
that's not
now,
quite
we're gonna
this
do a
big.
thing. That's gonna be so archaic. We're gonna like, oh my God,
You
look at this.
yeah, oh for sure.
Look
When they
at
look
this
back
big
at this,
thing
like
we
I found this old
did.
YouTube video of Dylan and Jamie, and look what they're
Yay.
holding.
Let's
Look,
Google
they
it.
put that big thing on their head. Looks
They
like it
put
hurt
that
their
big thing
neck.
on their head.
Yeah.
And now it's something that
So funny.
just makes sense, right? And so if we look at technology, we're like, 10 years ago? What was 10 years ago? Razor flip phones? Oh my God, or whatever. I don't know. Now
the
here we
Segway will
are.
revolutionize the world.
So we
I
just
remember
keep
that.
moving forward.
Do you believe in aliens, and what's the meaning of life?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just-
Yes, I absolutely believe in aliens. I don't think we're the only planet in the entire solar system that has life. Oh my God, that would be crazy. I think aliens have been watching us for a very long time.
And
the
the
meaning of life is individual freedom. When
Okay.
you get to choose for yourself.
Okay, and for Naomi, do you believe in aliens, and what's the meaning of life?
Aliens, yes, they're out there somewhere. I don't think we have contact with them. Unless they're among us, we can't see them. But
Ooh, well, very conspiracy
the
theory
meaning
of you.
of life, I think, is just to not take things so seriously and just to love and have fun.
It's okay, cool. Thank
Let's
you
do
guys
it.
for
All
coming.
right.
I
Have a great night,
appreciate
guys.
it. All right, thank you so much.
That's it.
Thank you for coming. Next
Thanks for having me.
time, we'll build on it. And that was great. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, late night. Yeah, but it's good.